Yeah, so you want me to sing it? The trees are growing tall and the grass is growing green, and many is the day and night time gone since you and I have seen. The winter nights are coming and I must lie alone. He's my bonny boy, he's young, but he's growing. Oh, Father, dearest Father, you've done what's very wrong to marry me to that bonny boy, him being oh so young, him being only 17 years, and I be 21. He's my bonny boy, he's young, and he's growing. So this is my accordion, which actually matches my sari. And I didn't buy it to match the sari or anything like that. So it was a great coincidence. And this sari is actually a very favorite one of mine because the pattern of it is a very old pattern, which is a rural pattern, and also a design which is very indigenous. If you could see the woman here with the large water pot on her head. And it's cotton and pretty cheap, which I like. And I guess also, I mean, I haven't always been comfortable wearing a sari, but a few years ago when I spent 6 months in India, I wore saris quite often, and people used to say, oh, there's Sheila, she's such a feminist, she never irons her saris, because I used to go around with really crushed saris, which, of course, middle-class Indian people, like my relatives and my family, my mom and dad, think it's a sacrilege, because you should always wear a silk sari, and it should always be ironed, and you should always wear earrings, and, you know, dress like a lady. So I thought I was quite proud to be identified as a feminist because of my wrinkled sari. I guess when somebody hears the name Sheila James, they think it's an English name. It's pretty easy to say, pretty familiar names, both the first name and the last name. But Sheila is actually also a Telugu name, which is the language that my parents speak, and I can write it in Telugu, and it actually means, my aunt told me what it means, which is really nice. It means strong character, and so I like that. Now the James part, James is actually my grandfather's first name. So he had 3 brothers, or he was one of 3 sons. I think Charles, James, and Luther. And their family name is actually called Pilli, which means cat in Telugu. And so his name was Pilli Chinna James, which means Pilli Small James. He was the youngest of the 3 boys. So what had happened is that my great-grandfather was, I think, the first convert to Christianity. So it's a little bit complicated because we still have this family name, though in this context, in living in Canada, we don't use it. Like I don't use Pilli Sheila James, but that would be my family name. I must admit, sometimes I do feel like a bit of an imposter because it's not something that I grew up wearing. For me, in the past, when my mom wanted me to wear a sari, it was always a chore. It would be always when relatives came over or when we went to India, and she used to tie it really, really tight so we couldn't eat. And I remember one of my worst experiences was being in church in India, and where we went up for communion, and the sari started unraveling. So that was great fun. It's true in Nova Scotia. Like, well, in I think a couple of years ago, in one of the newspapers, Truro was called or named one of the best places to live in the world because it was one of the best places in Canada to live. So I don't know why. And and Canada was one of the best countries, I think, or made the best country in the world to live in. So my family joked about that because everybody I knew who grew up in Truro eventually left, which includes all of my brothers and sisters. So my one brother and my two sisters and myself. So for me, my experience in Truro was, I would say, it was quite negative in some ways. I mean, to be fair to it, I love Nova Scotia as a place to live and visit. It's beautiful in terms of the geography. I like the fact that I grew up hearing a lot of Scottish and Irish music, which I really love.
Want to do Jimmy?
Yeah, I feel much more comfortable being Jimmy, actually. Yeah, so if you want to edit the whole sorry thing, that's cool with me. You know what I mean? I kissed the ass of the president, landed a job in the Pentagon, kissed the ass of Honest Ed, landed a role in a Miss Saigon. I kissed the ass of Her Majesty, command performance but not for free. I kissed the ass of Lady Di, got special mention in her latest biography, tasted the cheeks of the richest sheiks. I just, I got my first gig in some of those five-star hotels in Bombay. Now, mind you, the five-star hotels, the Hilton, all those things, they're looking over, the slums, but that was okay because, it was great for the businessmen who didn't want to, be associated with any poverty. They just want to go in and, make their bucks where they could, and they'd be, up in the bedrooms, and then they'd come downstairs to hear, yours truly. And I'd sing them all their songs that would remind them of home, I left my heart in San Francisco. What else is there? Some Barry Manilow when they wanted it, stuff like that. And I snuck in a couple of my tunes, and that was a great hit. Nibble the rump of Donald Trump, smack the ass of Conrad Black. Those businessmen are nice and plump. To make it big, you've got to dig. Get down and groveling round. To make it big, you've got to dig. Kissing ass, kissing ass, kissing ass. Look for the cheek, the dimpled bum that distinguishes him from anyone. Get the name, date, time, and place, 'cause a lucrative game blackmail is. To make it big, you've got to dig. Getting down and groveling round. To make it big, you've got to dig. Kissing ass, kissing ass, kissing ass. I mean, I feel like I'm twofold, like I'm this lounge singing dude. But I think also why people love me is because I give the women what they want. And when I say that, I mean I'm sensitive. I'm kind. I'm one of these guys that really knows what women want, like when they get to, when they get past, my image. Ooh, ooh, ooh.